Welcome to another edition of the 49er GoldCast.
San Francisco, are you ready? Boom! We're back. Welcome to another edition of the 49er GoldCast. We are the voice of the faithful. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis first, baby.
And our esteemed co-host,
Old Man Davis.
Boom! Well, gentlemen, it's Sunday, June 26th. We are here recording another 49er GoldCast. We missed you, 49er GoldCast, 49er faithful, our wonderful listeners. Now, you might be asking, why are we recording a podcast towards the end of June when the 49ers aren't even playing? And we're going to tell you guys why.
Yeah, they're all on break till the end of, July?
Yeah, super break. So the Warriors have just finished up their second finals appearance, back-to-back finals appearances. They lost in heartbreaking fashion in 7 games.
And until we understand that we cannot make those fundamental mistakes, we have got to understand that we cannot make those fundamental mistakes.
But it made all of us kind of realize where the state of Bay Area sports is at the moment. And this is, without a doubt, one of the greatest, arguably, depending on your favorite sport, the greatest era of Bay Area sports we've ever seen. The most dominating 6-year period that this city has ever imagined. And we really need to go check this. It quite possibly, it's got to be one of the most dominating 6-year periods of any city ever.
It's up there.
It's up there. And it starts in 2010 when the San Francisco Giants won the World Series. Then in 2012, the San Francisco Giants returned to win another World Series. And in that same year, the San Francisco 49ers go to their first Super Bowl since 1995. Then we have the San Francisco Giants winning their third World Series in 2014. And then we have the Golden State Warriors winning the NBA Finals in 2015, then going back in 2016, the same year that the San Jose Sharks go for their first Stanley Cup in 2016. I mean, it has just been a dominating 6 years. If we're going to count the Sharks, 7 titles appearances, 4 wins in 6 years. Now, but here's the thing. We're talking about this. Old Man Davis knows about this. Raymond Solis I knows about this. Rudy Solis III knows about this. Why isn't anyone else talking about this? If Boston had just ripped off the 6-year run we just did in this decade, let's even pretend that the last decade didn't exist and they had just done this right now, ESPN would be talking about this as being one of the greatest sports run a town has ever faced. But literally nobody is bringing that up. That's not a subject on First Take. That's not a subject on Mike and Mike. That's not a subject on His and Hers. That's not a subject on PTI. There's not a subject on whatever Fox Sports television show they have, Garbage Time. I mean, it's not a subject anywhere. It's not a subject on Any Given Wednesday or Any Given Wednesday. For instance, Bill Simmons is talking about how this is the greatest first 13 years of any sports player, of any NBA player, LeBron James, right? But he's not talking about how this is one of the greatest 6-year runs that a city's ever had. No one's talking about this. If this were Boston,
Collection of cities.
yeah, it's a collection of cities. We'd be hearing about how this is the greatest run ever for New England sports. So the question is why is that not happening? And I have a theory, and I'm going to pose this theory to you guys, and I want to hear your guys' opinions on it. My theory is the reason no one else is talking about this, why the Bay Area isn't being mentioned as so dominating. My theory is that reasons that we feel, the reasons that we're here.
Tell it, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
The reasons is one. The reasons is one. It's because we do not have a sports broadcaster or sports journalist in the national media scene. Boom. I'm blaming them. Ray, what do you think about that?
I think there's some truth to that. I also think it's because it's never really happened in the Bay Area. You know, in the 80s, it was all Niners, with the exception of, the Raiders had 2 in the 80s as well, to be fair. But the Warriors were nowhere to be found. I don't think the Sharks didn't even exist then. That was about it. The A's didn't come on until 89, so that was a decent. The 80s was a decent decade
for football.
Mostly for football. The A's went to 3 straight titles. The Giants went to 1 in 89, and the Raiders won 2 in the early 80s, and the Niners won 4 in the 80s. So that was a good run, but we've never seen it so condensed right here within all three sports, meaning Stanley Cup, couple of NBA Finals, Super Bowl appearance, as well as 3 MLB titles. So it's never been quite as dense as it is right now, and I'm just not sure that the nation's used to that. Normally, like LA gets a lot of accolades for winning their titles, though they haven't necessarily had a collection of, it's not like the Clippers and the Angels have won it all within, a 4, 5, 6, 7 year span. That's never happened. It's mostly just been the Lakers, but they get
that's
as much
the
notoriety.
point.
They get as much notoriety as like Boston and Red Sox and Patriots combined, as well as New York. New York, it's the Giants, the Jets, and the Yankees. And so,
but that's the point. That's the point, is that we're not used to seeing this aggressive a collection in any city. This doesn't happen very often. So why isn't it? I'm telling you why it's not. It's because nobody's defending us at the national level. Old Man Davis, do you agree with Raymond or do you agree with me? Where do you stand?
After listening to both of you knuckleheads just talk to each other, I'm just going to have to say I agree with both of you guys. I am very aware about no announcers, no broadcasters, no sports channels that praise and promote Bay Area personalities. However, you cannot exclude the fact that these old cities with old teams that date back to the early 1900s, that the early 1960s. These are cities, the city of Boston, the metropolitan of New York. I'll add Chicago, Philadelphia. These are cities that have had teams for a very long time, and they just get a lot more attention because of their age, because they're old. They're old like Old Man Davis.
They are. That's true.
So you cannot exclude that from the equation. I'm telling you, and that's what it is. That's my thinking.
Okay, and I'm with you on that. But okay, let me rattle off 3 shows: Garbage Time with Katie Nolan, Mike and Mike with Mike and Mike, and Any Given Wednesday, the new one with Bill Simmons. What do all 3 of those shows have in common? The lead, or actually all the leads. There's actually nobody that isn't in the lead in those shows that isn't from Boston and a total Boston sports homer. Now, name one national show that has somebody from the San Francisco Bay Area repping them right now. Name one show. You can't name it.
A national
it doesn't
show?
exist. A national show. A national show that's on ESPN, HBO, or Fox Sports 1. Name it. Name one guy that's from San Francisco that you know of that's going, hey. No, it's not happening.
no one does that. Only we do.
Only we do. But that's part of the problem. There's no voice. Okay. Let's take First Take, for example, okay? Skip Bayless. He's a total Dallas Cowboys, San Antonio Spurs homer, okay? Granted, fine. Everyone's allowed to be a homer for their teams. I'm not saying they're not. It's not an insult. It's not an insult. It's a curved slap. But, okay, so.
He is an annoying homer, though.
But he literally, he'll say, the Dallas Cowboys, they're so crappy, but we're still talking about them. We're only talking about them because you talk about them. No one else is talking about them. You are the only one talking about them. The only reason they're in the national spotlight is because you have the conch, you have the chair. So you're like, if he was talking about the 49ers every week because he makes up what articles they're going to talk about, then it'd be a completely different story. But he's in control. It's kind of one of those like Illuminati things. They're in control of the media. Therefore, they get to decide what teams we talk about. That makes sense?
You're talking about personalities that aren't even from the Bay Area. Let's add Colin Cowherd. Let's all add Tiki and Tierney. ESPN personalities. These guys are on in the morning, in the afternoon, whenever. Yep. They're not even from the East Coast. They record. Yep. Colin records out of L.A., but he's from Washington.
Jalen Rose is from Detroit. I got to hear about Detroit basketball all the time, way more than I ever did before because he's from Detroit.
I don't even bother. I just can't go there.
I love Jalen Rose, but he talks a lot about Detroit basketball. He talks about the Pistons all the time. Now, so here's my thing. Let's get down to this, okay? Another great example, PTI. You got D.C. and New York being represented. Everyone's talking about D.C. and New York over there. Here's my call to action. What is up with the Bay Area sports guys? How come none of these guys are moving to the top?
Maybe they don't want to. Greg Papa to me is kind of the best representative. If we had to choose somebody, like if it was like a draft, like a broadcaster's draft, I would draft Greg Papa first, number 1 overall pick. Overall pick,
and would you draft anyone else? There's a real question.
No, who else is there? you want to see Tim Kawakami on First Take or His and Hers? or anybody from 95.7 The Game that's not Greg Papa or Damon Bruce or
I don't want
Ray
to see
Rano.
any of those guys. Could you imagine Damon Bruce on a nationally syndicated show? It would be the worst representation of Bay Area sports.
I heard that he talks about Game of Thrones on his show. He's not even like pure sports. He talks about, he does like Game of Thrones reviews on his show.
Oh my god.
That's what I heard. I was like you're not even sports. Are your ratings down that you have to like piggyback on the coattails of one of the most successful shows in history? Give me a break.
You know, we're gonna add Dan Patrick, Rich Eisen, Jay Moore, Ben Mahler.
None of these
JT
guys
the Brick.
are fair.
No,
JT the
but
Brick.
Dan Patrick's not even in a city. He's in his attic.
Yeah, straight up.
That's right. He broadcasts from like his grandma's basement, doesn't he?
Yeah, and okay, let's get back on Damon Bruce for a second. I would love to talk about this. He is so negative. I remember he was going through his hate mail one day. He is so not part of the faithful. I don't care if he ever hears this, and then if he ever bashes me on his show, because guess what? I never listened to his show, and I'm going to tell the story about how that happened. He was bashing he was going through his hate mail, and he was going, well,
Who cares? You know, you're still listening to me. Hey, you're complaining about what I talk about. Must still be listening to me. Hey, if you don't like it, don't listen.
so you know what he did right when he said that? I'll never forget it. I'd heard this for like the umpteenth time. I don't know. I haven't been listening to him very long, but I heard it, and I said, you know what? You're right. And I turned him off, and I never listened to him again. I don't follow him on Twitter. I don't like his page on Facebook. I don't know if he's even has a Facebook or a Twitter, because I don't care. I don't care because I think he's a poor representation of Bay Area sports. He's just a hater. He's just a hater. He's not one of us.
Chicago.
He's not even from here. I'm from San Francisco. You're from San Francisco. Old Man Davis, where are you from?
From Old Man Davis.
Yeah, see?
Brooklyn, New York.
You've earned your stripes. You've earned your gray and black. You do. You've earned your patch, your hook, and your peg leg.
Your scabber.
Your scabber. Your sails. Your barnacles.
Barnacles on my neck.
You've earned those anchors.
Someone needs to put Damon Bruce in a barnacle.
Yeah, straight up. We're going to tell you guys what this is real quick. We're going on a tangent. The barnacle, when Raymond and I were children, we created this move with our friends called the barnacle. It was the Boston crab, which is when you know the Boston crab? Speaking of Boston, you'd hook their legs and you'd stand on their back and pull them backwards. Pro wrestling move, the Boston crab, and then the camel clutch. And the camel clutch is is Iron Sheik used to do it. He'd put your arms over your knees and he'd lift your head up in the camel clutch. So the barnacle is when two people, we took you, and one of us put you in the front in the camel clutch, and the other one put you into the Boston crab, folding you up like a donut. That was called the barnacle.
Good times. It's great times.
I swear to God, Old Man Davis, that was the barnacle. That was a pro wrestling move we created. We put you, front of you was in the camel clutch, your legs were in the Boston crab, you were folded like a donut. The barnacle.
Yeah.
No one's ever done this move. It only exists in I've never seen that done in pro wrestling. I've never seen anybody put anyone in the barnacle. But getting back to this, Damon Bruce would be a terrible representation. I think all these guys would be. I think the only guy is Greg Papa. Greg Papa would be our only hope for the national spotlight. Would you guys agree?
I think so. The guy knows every sport as well as any pro that plays it.
My Oakland Raiders have been talked about by Greg Papa time after time after time. I can see him on Channel 36, KICU, where he's talking nothing but Oakland Raiders football. However, let's talk about the 49ers. Who does their games?
Ted Robinson. Sometimes he's on the radio and sometimes he's not. And then like the guy who does the Niners like on TV, it's like different every time. Sometimes Tim Ryan's there, sometimes he's not.
It's different every time. There's no consistency.
There's no consistency. Yeah.
No, there's
no
none.
voice. There's no voice.
There's no consistency with 49er at all.
I just have the broadcast from the 82 Dallas Cowboy Niner championship game. I just dubbed that over every Niner game that I watch.
Over every Niner. You just listen, regardless. It never matches. Maybe one random play here and there for like 30 seconds it matches.
Oh, it's terrific. It's terrific.
You know, Greg Papa, he's the most well-rounded sports announcer.
So charming. He's so charming and fun.
It is. And he's awesome on the radio. I mean, he's super professional on TV. And then when he's doing the radio, it's like the uncuffed version of Greg Papa.
So loose. Yeah, he's so loose on the radio.
Super pro. And oddly enough, he's actually from Buffalo.
He's not from the Bay.
Yeah, but he represents it like he is.
I'll be honest. I don't want to hear anybody from 95.7 The Game on ESPN. And half, some of those morning guys would end up just telling us that Tom Brady's the best quarterback ever. And I don't really understand why you're on a Bay Area sports radio show if you actually believe in your heart of hearts that Tom Brady's the best quarterback ever. Go broadcast out of New England. Because we believe here that Joe Montana's the best. I don't want to hear that you think that Tom Brady's the best. If you really believe that, that's fine. You're entitled to that opinion, but don't talk about it on my Bay Area sports radio station. That's insulting.
We believe Joe's the best because it's a fact. It's common knowledge. In fact, every baby that's born in San Francisco, they come out of the womb with that knowledge. The first book you read them is just a recap of the 49ers dynasty in the 80s. That's the
well, yeah. It's called JoeMontana's.com///GOAT. That's it.
Yeah, you got to know your history.
No, I think that's really it. I really feel this really falls on the shoulders of the broadcasters and journalists from the Bay Areas, and I'm disappointed that none of you have strived for the same amount of success that our teams have. And none of you guys have put yourself in the national spotlight to make it happen and to be the voice and to protect us in our time of need, in our time in the greatest era, Bay Area sports, in particular San Francisco with a little bit of Oakland's help. This is the greatest era ever, and none of you are there to defend us, and none of you are on any of these national shows telling everybody that we are the best, and I'm really disappointed. It makes me really sad.
With the carry-on of San Jose.
Yeah, with a little bit of San Jose sprinkled in, just a little drop. Little drop of San Jose. Ding, ding.
Ding, ding. Ding, 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 ding.
It's like that Spaceballs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
Raymond, where can they find us?
You can like us at facebook.com/49ers Goldcast. You can also follow us on Twitter at 49ers Goldcast. You can also subscribe to us via YouTube, Stitcher, and iTunes, all under the same moniker, 49ers Goldcast.
Raymond, where can they find you?
We are everywhere but nowhere. I am on Twitter at Ray Solis. That is the best place to find me. Follow me. I will most likely follow you back. I'm coming in this season with open arms.
I'm excited. We're going to talk a lot more about the season. We're going to start gearing up as we're heading into preseason, which means the GoldCast is heading into their season. We're almost there. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Rudy Solis III. You guys know how to spell my name. SOLIS 3 numeral 3 letters RD. Rudy Solis III. You can find me. Yo, if you guys listen to this podcast, I'm not hard to find. Old Man Davis.
Did he
fall asleep again? I don't know.
You can find me on the GoldCast talking to both Ray and Rudy, my two pals, as well as Old Man Davis, to myself.
Boom, talking to yourself. Bingo. Well, gentlemen, we are quickly entering July, which means that the 49er GoldCast is going to start revving back up and getting back into it. But we want to dedicate this one to the state of Bay Area sports. This is a call to arms to all you broadcasters and journalists. Get out there. Get to the national spotlight. One of you protect us on First Take, Part of the Interruption, Mike and Mike, Garbage Time, and Any Given Wednesday, whatever show Fox Sports 1 has, because no one knows what shows they have. And so concludes another edition of the 49er GoldCast. We are the voice of the faithful. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis first, baby.
And our esteemed co-host,
Old Man Davis.
Boom! We'll see you next time. Same GoldCast time, same GoldCast channel.